Alright, now we're actually getting to the cleaning portion. Everything before that was mainly prepping for the cleaning stages. So what we want to do is make sure that we have our background copy, which is the duplicated raw layer. We want to make sure that this layer is selected because we want to be working on that one. So let's see. This should be super easy to clean. First, you want to make sure that your brush, this tool right here, my shortcut is B. I'm not sure what yours is, but if it's the default, it should be B. And what you can do is right click, and then you'll see your brush settings. You want to make sure that it is a round brush and not a airbrush, which is like something like this, where it's like blurry on the sides. You don't want that because if you try to clean with that brush, you're gonna leave some traces behind. See how like it leaves stuff behind? We don't want that. Next, once we have that brush set, you want to make sure that you have a white color set, which is all the way at the top left corner. The code for it should be 6Fs. Some teams make it so that you should use the dodge tool, which I never understood. I understood if it was for cleaning dust, which is like the tiny little speckles near lines. So for example, I can understand using the dodge tool for these little edge pieces to clean them. It's because if you happen to hit the line, it won't completely erase the way using a white brush would. You know, if you accidentally hit it, it becomes like that. But if you use the dodge tool and you hit the bubble, it doesn't actually erase it completely. But for our team, we do not use that. What we do is we just take a white paintbrush, make sure it's round, and we just white it out. Just clean out all the text that you can in the simple areas. We're going to ignore these for now because they're on a textured background. Just erase everything. And then once that is done, I've seen some applicants white out a bubble, but they actually left some traces behind. You can check to make sure that you removed everything from the bubble by doing the dust checking, which is the hyper leveling layer, where you just add in another level adjustment layer up top, and then you move the arrow that was in the middle. This thing, it was originally in the middle. You move it all the way to the right side, and this will make it so it only shows the whites. Sorry, the blacks. So here we left some traces right here. Just want to go back in and remove it. Make sure you are selecting your duplicated layer down here and not using these layers, because if you use these layers, it will try to erase or hide the leveling that you did, because this is called a clipping mask. I'm not going to get into it because that's something for a whole other video. You just want to make sure that you have this layer selected. And then you want to go in and just erase what you can. This is all mostly white, so no problem. And for this layer, my raw had this little colored side right here because I wanted to test if people would leave it in or if they would know to clean it out. Obviously, you want to get rid of this. Now onto the textured background. See, this is not just gray, it has some pattern to it. So there's two ways to clean this. The most popular way is the spot healing brush, which the shortcut should be J. J, right? And then you want to right click and make sure that it's on spot healing brush tool and not healing brush tool. And what you can do is very easily just color over your text, and it will grab the nearby patterns and try to use it. And it's very easy. It just did what the cloning tool would have had to take, but like it did it automatically. You can do it like this, and just like that, it's gone. Now, another way to do it is to use the clone tool. The shortcut is S, but again, you can just go over here and make sure that it is on clone stamp tool. And how this works is it grabs an area. You have to choose it by clicking Alt and then selecting that area. And then it's going to use the area you just selected to clone the area you're about to paint in. So as you see, the crosshair is where I am cloning from, and the circle is the brush that I am currently painting over. I am grabbing the nearby source and using it to paint over the text. Just like that. Gone. Now, the spot healing brush will most likely have some trouble trying to fix this area on its own. You should be able to clean this one up pretty easily. It does well when there's no nearby art to interfere with it because it's trying to mimic whatever is surrounding it. So if we try to clear this, it should work. But see, if we try to do it here, it won't do it perfectly. So what you want to do is use the cloning tool, clone this little area right below it, and then just cover it up. Do the same thing with down here. What you want to do is just make sure everything matches. You don't want anything to stand out. Just like this, it clones. And then you might come to this problem where the top half doesn't match your cloned half. So a thing that I just recently learned is that the spot healing brush does a pretty good job at trying to blend for you. As long as you make it small enough and you just kind of click 40% of what you're trying to do. If you just do it in the middle, if you try to do it in the middle and your brush is big, it might just wipe out the whole area. It really depends on what's the surrounding area look like. But just like this, just keep kind of blending it out a little bit so that it looks natural. And voila. Now you have to make sure you finish this clone job. The lines all need to match. They need to meet and then they need to match. Whenever you're cleaning, you always want to zoom in to make sure that the lines all match. It's easier for you to see. And you want to make sure that all the surrounding lines connect to each other. See how this line does not match because they're not connected? We can either use the line tool, which is this right here. You want to make sure it's on the line tool, and then you want to make sure it's on pixels. It should be on shape as default. You don't want that. You want to make sure it's on pixels so that when you draw, it automatically does a line. If it's on shape, it's going to make a layer, and you don't want that. And typically, to make it so that your line matches with the original line, you want to lower the opacity. By default, it will be at 100%. You have to play with it a little because it depends on what line you're trying to do. But it's typically around 43% to 60, where it'll start to blend with the surrounding lines. Just like that. It matches. See? And we want to make sure we match this line right here. Okay. See that? I would personally clone this down a little bit more so that it matches because it goes all the way down. Now right here, super easy. What would you do? Spot healing brush. Just go over it. Don't need to be... You should never use like a big brush like this and then try to clone it. Sometimes it'll work, but sometimes, for the most part, it will do a very bad job. Instead of having like the patterns, it'll actually make it like a very blurry, grayed area. Like so. You could do it this way, or you could just use the clone tool. Clone tool, find a nice area that matches. Oops, sorry. Find an area that matches, and then you just paint right over. Super easy.